Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia, on January 15, 1929. He grew up during a time when many people were treated very unfairly because of the color of their skin. Back then, there were strict rules called segregation that kept people apart in schools, buses, restaurants, and many other places. African Americans, like Martin and his family, were often not given the same opportunities as white people. Even though this was a very difficult time, it also became the start of a great journey toward justice and equality. Growing up in such an unequal society, Martin saw firsthand the pain and injustice that segregation and discrimination caused. He experienced the sadness of seeing friends and family being treated as less than human just because of their skin color. These experiences sparked a deep desire in him to fight for fairness. His parents and community taught him that every person deserves respect and kindness, no matter what they look like. These early lessons became the foundation of his lifelong commitment to making the world a better place. As a young boy, Martin learned about the importance of love, fairness, and standing up for what is right. He understood that even though the rules of society were unfair, people had the power to change them. This belief grew stronger with each passing year. Martin was inspired by stories of courage and resilience, and he dreamed of a day when everyone, regardless of their race, could live together in peace. He believed that change was possible if people worked together and used peaceful ways to protest against injustice. Martin's journey to becoming a leader was not an easy one. He faced many challenges along the way, including threats to his own safety and the safety of his loved ones. However, these difficulties did not stop him. Instead, they made him even more determined to fight for civil rights. He chose to follow the path of nonviolence, inspired by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. Martin believed that peaceful protests and powerful speeches could help break down the barriers of segregation and discrimination, and he worked tirelessly to show the world that love and understanding were far more powerful than hate. His vision was a world where every person would be treated with fairness and respect. Martin dreamed of a future where children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He wanted to create a society where everyone had equal opportunities to succeed and where justice prevailed over injustice. Martin Luther King Jr.'s determination to make this dream come true inspired millions of people to join him in the fight for civil rights. Today, Martin Luther King Jr. is remembered not only for his brave actions and powerful words, but also for his unyielding hope and belief in a better future. His life reminds us that even in the darkest times, one person's courage can light the way for many others. The story of his early struggles, his rise as a civil rights leader, and his lasting impact on the world continues to inspire people everywhere to stand up for what is right. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, in a warm and loving family that valued faith, education, and community. Born into a household led by his father, Martin Luther King Sr., a respected preacher, and his mother, Alberta Williams King, who was known for her gentle strength and kindness, Martin was raised with the belief that every person deserved respect and dignity. Even as a young boy, Martin was aware of the deep divisions in society. In the 1930s and 1940s, African Americans were often treated unfairly and faced many challenges because of segregation laws. These laws meant that Black people had to use separate schools, restaurants, and even water fountains, facilities that were often not as well maintained or resourced as those for white people. Martin witnessed these inequalities firsthand. He saw how the system was designed to limit the opportunities available to his community, and these early observations left a deep impression on him. School played a significant role in shaping his beliefs. Attending segregated schools, Martin experienced an education that was marred by inequality. Despite these hardships, he worked hard and excelled academically. His teachers recognized his bright mind and his natural sense of fairness, encouraging him to think critically about the world. In his classroom, he began to ask questions about why things were the way they were and how they might be changed. These experiences helped him develop a strong moral compass and a desire to see a more just society. The church was another cornerstone of Martin's early life. In his family church, he learned that every person was a child of God and deserving of love and respect. The church was a place of refuge where the African American community could come together, support one another, and share stories of hope and perseverance. The sermons and lessons he heard in church taught him about the power of forgiveness, nonviolence, and peaceful resistance. These teachings were deeply influential, shaping his belief that change could be achieved without hatred or violence. As he grew older, Martin's personal experiences with discrimination further fueled his desire for change. He began to see that the unfair treatment of Black people was not just a series of isolated incidents, but part of a larger system that needed to be challenged. The stories of bravery from his elders and the lessons learned in church led him to believe that peaceful protest was the most powerful tool to fight injustice. Instead of resorting to anger or violence, he embraced the idea of nonviolent resistance, inspired by leaders like Mahatma Gandhi. Martin's early life was a blend of love and hardship. The lessons he learned at home, in school, and in the community all contributed to a strong foundation of values based on equality, justice, and compassion. These experiences made him determined to question unfair laws and practices, and they sowed the seeds of a movement that would later sweep across the nation. His belief that peaceful protest could overcome even the most deep-rooted injustice became the guiding principle of his life's work. Martin Luther King Jr. took on a big role in leading the civil rights movement in the United States. His leadership was built on the firm belief that change could be brought about peacefully, and he inspired people to stand together against unfair laws and segregation by using nonviolent methods to protest. King's ability to speak with passion and clarity helped him share his vision of a world where everyone was treated equally. His gentle yet determined way of speaking touched the hearts of many, and his messages of hope and justice were heard all across the nation. One of his most important early acts of leadership came during the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955. When Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a bus, many citizens decided to stop riding the buses. King helped organize the boycott, and for more than a year, people walked, carpooled, or found other ways to travel. Their peaceful protest led to a court decision that ended bus segregation. This event was a clear sign that nonviolent protest could bring about real change, and it helped make King a well-known leader in the fight for civil rights. Following this success, King helped form the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. The SCLC was created to bring together people who believed in nonviolent protest and were willing to work for change. As its first president, King traveled throughout the South, giving inspiring speeches and leading peaceful protests. He worked hard to build trust among people of different races and backgrounds, showing that unity was possible even in difficult times. Under his guidance, the SCLC organized marches, sit-ins, and community meetings that challenged the unjust laws of segregation. A defining moment in King's leadership was his famous "I Have a Dream" speech at the March on Washington in 1963. Standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial, he shared his vision of a future where children would be judged by their character rather than the color of their skin. His powerful words resonated with millions, becoming a symbol of hope and a call to action for equality. This speech was not just about dreams, but also a clear plan for a future where justice and fairness were the rights of all people. King also led other significant campaigns, such as the Birmingham Campaign and the Selma to Montgomery marches. In Birmingham, Alabama, peaceful protesters faced harsh resistance and brutal treatment. Yet, King's unwavering commitment to nonviolence and justice brought national attention to the severe injustices in the South. The Selma to Montgomery marches, which aimed to secure voting rights for African Americans, further demonstrated the courage and resilience of those who followed King. These marches exposed the reality of racial discrimination and helped to build momentum for legislative changes that would later protect voting rights. Throughout his work, King faced many challenges. He was arrested several times and even received threats to his life. However, his courage never wavered. He believed that using nonviolent resistance was the best and most moral way to fight injustice. His steadfast commitment taught others that peaceful protest was a powerful tool for change. His leadership not only changed laws but also helped shift public opinion, slowly transforming the social landscape of the nation. In summary, Martin Luther King Jr.'s leadership in the civil rights movement was marked by his belief in nonviolence, his ability to unite diverse groups of people, and his inspiring speeches that motivated a nation to fight for justice. Martin Luther King Jr. achieved many great things during his lifetime, leaving a lasting impact on society. His work was instrumental in dismantling segregation and fighting for equal rights for millions of people in the United States. One of his earliest and most significant achievements was his role in the Montgomery bus boycott. When African Americans in Montgomery, Alabama, decided to refuse riding the city buses to protest unfair treatment, King emerged as a key leader in this nonviolent protest. The boycott lasted for more than a year and ultimately led to a court ruling that ended bus segregation, proving that peaceful resistance could lead to substantial change. King's leadership extended far beyond Montgomery. As the first president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, he united communities throughout the South in a collective struggle for justice and equality. Under his guidance, the SCLC organized peaceful protests, sit-ins, and marches that challenged deeply entrenched laws of segregation. His efforts culminated in the historic 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where he delivered his iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. In that moment, King shared a powerful vision of a future where individuals would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character, a message that resonated with millions and became a rallying cry for the civil rights movement. King's dedication to nonviolence and his unyielding commitment to justice earned him international acclaim. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a recognition that underscored the global significance of his work. This prestigious award not only celebrated his leadership but also brought greater attention to the struggle for civil rights in the United States. King's approach of loving resistance over hate inspired other movements around the world, from the anti-apartheid efforts in South Africa to peace initiatives in other conflict regions. Legislative victories followed King's influential activism. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were monumental legal changes that helped dismantle institutional racism and secure voting rights for African Americans. These laws transformed American society by ending many of the discriminatory practices that had persisted for generations. King's persistent advocacy played a crucial role in pushing these reforms through, establishing a legal foundation that continues to support equality and justice today. In the midst of his public achievements, King also faced significant personal challenges. The immense pressure of leading a national movement, coupled with constant threats to his life, took a heavy toll on his health. In the turbulent final years of his life, King experienced the stresses of a relentless struggle for justice. While he was known for his vibrant energy and resilience, the constant barrage of hostility and the demands of the civil rights cause affected him deeply. On April 4, 1968, while in Memphis, Tennessee, to support a sanitation workers' strike, Martin Luther King Jr. was fatally shot while standing on the balcony of his hotel room. His assassination shocked the nation and the world, marking a tragic end to a life dedicated to peaceful change. The loss of such a transformative leader sparked widespread mourning and a renewed determination among his followers to carry on his mission. Even though his life was cut short, the spirit of his message lived on, reminding all that the fight for justice is an enduring endeavor. Today, Martin Luther King Jr. is celebrated not only for his remarkable achievements but also for the legacy of hope and perseverance he left behind. His birthday is commemorated each year on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a national holiday in the United States dedicated to his memory and the ongoing struggle for civil rights. Memorials, museums, and educational programs around the world continue to honor his life, teaching new generations about the power of nonviolent resistance and the importance of equality. The influence of King's work has transcended borders, inspiring activists and leaders across the globe to stand up against oppression. His writings, speeches, and teachings continue to serve as a guide for those who believe in a better, more just world. For anyone seeking to learn more about his life, his enduring message, and the ongoing impact of his work, resources like Bright English Point offer insightful educational content and a deeper understanding of his extraordinary legacy. Martin Luther King Jr.'s achievements remind us that one person's courage can change the course of history. His life remains a powerful testament to the transformative power of nonviolent protest and the enduring belief that justice, when pursued with unwavering determination and compassion, can overcome even the most deeply rooted social injustices.